Hi, I'm Ziyan Junaideen, a final year computer engineering student from University of Peradeniya. This screencast is the first of a series of Python tutorials by myself. Here we will be looking into some of the basics of Python, handling user input, output, and to write a basic program in Python. The first thing we need to do is to download Python and install it in your system. Depending on your version of operating system, if it's 32-bit or 64-bit, the installation files and the method will be different. In the Python download page, you'll have two editions that you can use. The 2.7.2 version, that's the latest for the 2.7 version up to date, and the 3.2.2 version, which is the latest of Python. And depending on when you view this video, the latest version will be different. The 2.7.2 version is a backward compatible Python version, and most of the Python 3 features are backported to Python 2.7. And if you are interested in making more backward compatible code, you can use Python 2.7.2. But we are going to look into Python 3 code, and one of these files you'll have to download and install in your system. I have a Windows 7 32-bit edition, so I downloaded Python 3.2.2 Windows x86 MSI installer. If you're having a Windows 64-bit edition, the second option is what you have to use. Mac users will have to use option 3 and 4, depending on if they are 64-bit or 32-bit machines they're having, operating systems they have. There's also the Python source tarball that can be used by Linux, Mac, or Unix users. You have to download it, uncompress it, compile, and install accordingly. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation, and its information will be available in the download section of this video, description section of this video. So there's something about Python, a bit of the history and about the versions. You can find more information about Python in Wikipedia. There's a ton of information that would interest you. I recommend you go and have a look at it. And in today's lesson, we're going to cover some of the basics of Python, look into variables and user input and output, and also write a program that will involve displaying information, gathering user input, processing, and displaying an output to the user. So once you have downloaded and installed Python in your system, in Windows you can go to Start menu, All Programs, Python 3.2, and get to the Python GUI. The Python GUI is a place where you can do basic programming, but it's much easier to write an entire script as a program. For that, you'll have to go File and open a new window, and in that window you can write the entire script and save it with the extension .py. And Mac and Unix users can access the Python shell in the terminal by typing Python, and it can be closed using Ctrl-D as usual. Comments in Python are starting with the hash sign, and if you are new to programming, please keep in mind that to use a lot of comments when writing programs. It's a good practice, and I believe it's a must, and it saves you a ton of time, and even it will reduce the possibility of you needing to dump your program because you don't understand it. And a Python script can be run using run and run module in Windows using the new window. And if you are in Linux, you can write a separate script using any text editor, and then save it as myprogram.py or whatever the name you like, and it should be runnable using the Python space myprogram.py, and the script would run if Python is properly installed in your system. Python makes code reuse very easy, and there's an import command that will allow you to import or allow the script access additional modules. And some of the basic modules that are available in Python already are the sys, os, string, math, etc. They have a lot of usable functions or very convenient functions, and if you want to access them in your program, you have to use import. You can use import sys or import os to import the OS module. Variables and data structures are some of the most important parts when it comes to programming. Variables hold data. Think a variable as a container in the computer's memory that has a name for it. For example, we can define a variable as a equals 10. So the variable name will be a and its value will be 10. So this value is saved in your computer's memory, and it can be referenced or it can be accessed anytime by using the variable name. So at some other point of the program, if I say a, that means I mean 10, and this value can be changed, and that's why it's called a variable. There are three primitive types of data structures that are in Python: strings, integers, and floats. Strings are a set of characters that can be A to Z, capital or simple, numbers, as well as symbols. Integers are just numbers. They are like 1 to 10, 1 to 9, 0 to 9 actually, and floats are numbers with decimal places. Normally, if you are used to programming in C# or Java, you'd notice that there's some sort of difference in Python. In Java or C#, you say int a equals 10, than a equals 10, which is in Python. So the thing is, the Python interpreter determines the type of variable it is in runtime. And if you want to change this, you have to do some sort of casting that we'll discuss later. Okay, there are many ways you can define a string. Over here, string 1 is defined using double quotes, and my name is Ziyan. So anything within these two double quotes will be a string. And also, if you use single quotes, it will also be a string. And these two types have different uses, and we'll discuss them later. And strings have various functions into them. So some of them are like combining strings or concatenation, and also you can take substrings and access strings, char bytes. That is actually a substring. Integers are just numbers, as we said, and integers are subject to mathematical operations such as addition, division, subtraction, multiplication, and other things in the math library. And well, integers when divided result another integer. It does not result a fraction. For example, if you divide 4 by 3, the result will be 1 point something, but the value of b will be, well, 1 because of truncation. And floats are, well, decimal numbers. And there are much more complex, more useful data structures, which we call as containers, that hold multiple data structures within them. We'll discuss them in lesson 2. Casting is one of the useful functions in an operating system. A casting, as you can imagine, is changing the shape of something. In programming, casting will change the data type of a variable or data. For example, we define a equals 22 over here, which is a string, and b equals 3, and c is a string once again, which is having character 3 in it. If you use a plus b in Python or any programming language, or most programming languages, it will cause a type error. And in Python, its type error can't convert int object to str implicitly. A plus c will result 223, actually 2 to 3. Oops, okay, there's some error over here, pardon me, will result a string concatenation. And if we want to get the numerical value of 22, we have to use int, or we have to cast the a string into an integer using int a. And once you use int a, this function will return the integer value of a, and with b will result 25, and the same with a and c. When considering user input and output, the input command or input function will handle user input. The input function takes an argument. Well, the argument is what you supply to a function, the data that you supply to a function, and the input function will return the user's input to the program. So inputs are handled using the input function, and you give a string as an argument, and this string will be displayed to the user. For example, when this line of code is executed, the user will see enter your name, and once he enters the value will go to user input, and that can be used thereafter in the program. And talking about displaying values to the user, you can use the print command, and it also has a argument as a string, and this value can be anything, any string, and well, you can use this to display information to the user. In this screencast, we are going to discuss a simple Python script. We actually have two of them, but this is what we are going to be more concerned of. Okay, what happened? Alright, over here I have two print statements. The first will generate a kind of a title to this program, so I say welcome message, and the second print statement will act as a beautification. You'll see what it means when you run the program. Over here I make two variables, msg start and msg end, that will hold two strings in them. And down over here I ask the username from the user, and I use the input command to get the value to the variable username. And between these two print statements, I use a blank print statement, and it is to leave a blank space between the header or the welcome message and the user's question, what is your name? Over here we are doing some sort of processing the input, and what we're doing is a string concatenation. We are adding hello and welcome to my first Python script. We are going to surround the username with these two strings, and once again we are going to keep a blank space and display the result to the user. There's another program which I call a simple adder that you can look into, and apart from what we discussed in the last slide, it will use two input statements and a bit of integer casting to generate the addition of two user inputs. So the user will give two values. They'll be saved as strings in val1 and val2, and thereafter it will be casted and saved as the addition in the variable name addition, and thereafter once again the response will be printed. This will not be included in the screencast, and but the code of this will be there. Feel free to play with it, don't be afraid, just have fun with programming. Now let's go for the Python shell and do some programming ourselves. I'm going to go to Start menu, All Programs. I'm going to scroll down to Python 3.2 over here, and I'm going to open the Python GUI. Alright, so this is the Python GUI, and you can do some sort of programming over here. We discussed the print statement and the input statement, so let's just do some fun programming over here. You can say print hello world, and this will print hello world over here. We can say a equals 10, a variable assignment, and if you say print a, it will print the value. Or if you just put a in the shell, it will once again print the value, but it will not work in a shell. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to open a different file, actually a script, to write down a script by going to File, New Window, and over here we are going to write our program. So the first thing we need to do is to write some comments about it. This is the first FYR is to write first Python script by me, and you can add the author. It's good practice to have everything written down. Say Ziyan Junaideen. And if we start to write the program, we can say print welcome message generator. It's a bit fancy, and I'm going to just save this document first. Okay, I press Ctrl S. Otherwise, you can go to File, Save to save the document. I'm going to go save it in my desktop. I have a folder named lesson1, and I'm going to delete all of this. I'll delete this. Okay. Whatever. Wait. I'm going to save it as welcome message generator .py, and I'm going to run it using run module, or if not, I can press F5 in the keyboard to run the program, and you see the welcome message generator is displayed. So what you're going to do next is we are going to print a kind of an underline for it, just to make the program a little bit beautiful. And I'm once again going to save it, and I'm going to press F5 to run the program, and you see welcome message generator is kind of underlined, or actually it's kind of a beautification, just to make things look neater. And after that, I'm going to define two variables. Str start equals hello is the welcome message, str end equals welcome to my first Python script. Okay, and thereafter I'm going to get the username, and oops, it's going to be an input, and I'm going to say enter your name. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of process the information and make one welcome message, strmsg equals, well, we can say str start. We are going to concatenate it with the username and with this str end, the end part of the greeting message. And we need to display the greeting message once again to the user, and we are going to use the print statement and strmsg to display the information to the user. And once we get, let's press F5, and you see over here it's asking for my name, Ziyan, and says hello Ziyan, welcome to my first Python script. Now in the example or in the slides I use two blank print statements, something similar to this. Okay, the purpose of these print statements or blank print statements is to, well, generate a blank space or separation between different entities. For example, when I put Ziyan, unlike in the first example, it's kind of neat because it's separated, each section is separated, and it's much more eye-pleasing, especially when working with text only environment. So, well, that's about the script, I guess. And just for you to know, over here we have the print statement and we have a string defined inside it. Okay, it's welcome message generator. And over here we have a print statement, and what we are giving is an input variable, which is a string. So actually what we have to give to a function is a variable, and if we just put quotation marks to this, what it will print is not the string but just strmsg. So if you are entering a variable, you do not have to use the quotation marks. Okay, alright, so this is the end of the first Python lesson by myself, and today we discussed some of the basics of Python, input and output using the input function and the print function, also about strings, integers, and a little bit of floats, and also casting. you can cast a string into an integer, and the casting can be done between types. For example, integer to float and float to integer, likewise. So we also any programmatical example has not been discussed in the screencast, and but we have a file named adder.py along with a PowerPoint presentation. You can download it and have a look at it yourself. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Bing would be a great source of information if you want to search online and well expand your knowledge. I hope I have been of use today. Well, see you soon in lesson 2. I hope you'll be there around. Thank you.